From the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis, Indiana, welcome to the second episode of season number 7 of the greatest spectacle in podcasting, the Seventh Gear Over Rev Show. As always, I am your host, Kevin Krause, and this week's episode is brought to you by our great friends and partners over at KrauseMeats.com, makers of the finest handcrafted artisan sausages and jerkies that you will find anywhere. Make sure that you check them out at KrauseMeats.com for their new expanded offerings and their lower pricing, as well as our great friends and partners over at Respect Your Package and Dick Carriers, makers of those high-end, premium, breathable men's underwear, complete with ball bustier technology. They are respectfully scandalous, yet unapologetic. And holy smokes, Seventh Gear Over Rev fans, this week's guest, I guess the theme of this show is what was old is new again, because this guy I've known for over a decade now. Actually, I think the team that he was with, he'd only been with for a short amount of time when we came together, because their team ran my program in the Pirelli World Challenge Sports Car Championship when I had that a white Porsche Cayman there. And now he is the general manager of one of the premier, especially open wheel prep shops in the Midwest. It is my good friend, glad to come have him on the show this week, my good friend, my old friend and friend of the show, the one and only Hark himself, GM, Mr. John Harkenrider. Hark, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. Excited to be on the show.
Dude, I'm so happy to have you. When we kind of sort of reconnected through LinkedIn, I was like, oh my God, Hark, I haven't talked to Hark in forever, basically since we ran the World Challenge stuff. And I think, we certainly, we were joking about this offline. We kind of bonded a little bit more when we had that Road America event, when I just got a little optimistic and threaded the needle along the pit wall there and scraped the side view mirror of the car. And I think you were up on the bridge or something watching it at the time. So I was like, all right, if I got Hark on my side, I think we're going to be in good shape. So, but man, what... Those were good times, brother. Those were good times. I wish we could have kept that going a little bit longer, but it was good while it lasted. So, dude, you're making some huge moves. I mean, like I said, they're kind of at the open, and you had only been with Havoc for kind of a relatively short amount of time when we came together back in, what was it, 2016? Yeah. And now you're the GM
maybe a year
of Havoc. Yeah. You were kind of just figuring out how to fit in, I suppose, is a way to put it, because you had Jody there, and he was kind of running everything and kind of making things happen. And here we are a decade later, and you're the man. How did that all come to pass?
Oh, man, I don't know. Like you said, I started, I was probably with the team about a little over a year when we ran World Challenge, and road racing was a new world for me. I grew up with the drag strip, so I knew fast and, straight, but turning and setups for that, it was a whole new ball game. So I was getting my feet wet, still wet behind the ears when we did World Challenge with you and Brian, and just kept grinding. And the travel thing kind of fell off for a couple years. And back in 21, I picked up a 24-foot enclosed trailer, and I had one guy that wanted to go up and run Road America for the June sprints, and I said, let's do it. And so we went up there, and he put in the wall in the kink on the last session of a test day. So I was laying underneath the car till 2 a.m. by myself, putting this thing back together. And this last June, now we ran FRP at Road America, and we had 2 haulers and 9 cars. So it's grown a bit.
Wow. No kidding. And I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, Havoc Motorsport has been around for a long, long time. Kind of the founder of Havoc, Jody Lift. I remember racing, not necessarily against him, but at the same time as Jody back in the day when he had I think he had Volkswagen Scirocco's and showroom stock and that kind of thing. And that, Jody sort of ran the show when we were doing World Challenge. And unfortunately, he passed away a number of years ago from a battle with cancer. Was that kind of a difficult transition within the team? I'm sure Marge probably had a hard time with it, and everybody at the whole Audubon community. Because one thing I forgot to mention is that you're based at the Audubon Country Club, where I used to be the assistant track manager, and your shop still exists and is now busting at the seams. But talk a little bit about that transition after Jody passed.
Yeah, it was tough. It's a couple of years he was sick. It was kind of slow here, and we really didn't know what direction we were heading. And I kind of fell into the role of shop manager. My whole goal was to be able to shadow Jody for a couple years and really get everything I could out of him and put that towards the business side. And I didn't really get that chance, so it was kind of sink or swim. And I had a pretty good crew, and we were able to kind of keep afloat for a while, and till I got my feet underneath me, and having Marge still come in and take care of all the parts and ordering and all the behind the scenes stuff that people don't think about that makes a business go. That was huge. And now we got 4 full-time guys and a shop that's full of cars, and we got more on the way. So hopefully we keep going in the right direction, and we do Jody proud.
And I don't remember the exact year, but I'm thinking a lot of that was either in the midst of or just coming out of the whole deal with COVID, which probably didn't make things any easier for anybody, from the economy to being able to go out and do events and that sort of thing. So I'm sure, there was a little extra there to have to sort through and try to, read through the tea leaves and get your feet about you moving forward, right?
Yeah, it was, everything was up in the air whether we were going to be able to race. And lucky enough here at Autobahn, we were able to stay open through COVID with some restrictions, obviously. But our guys were able to still come out and test. And, we got 6 days a week of, open testing here at Autobahn for our members and our drivers, which is huge. And so that helped. That helped us keep us afloat. We were able to stay open with that. And then slowly the tracks eased up a little bit, and we were able to get our feet underneath us and say, hey, let's put a travel team back together, and let's go up for some championships.
So there's a couple avenues I want to kind of explore with you now, because you talked about how in the aftermath of Jody's untimely passing and COVID and all that, you were just kind of keeping afloat, kind of treading water a little bit. So how did you start picking up the momentum from the business? Because, for the longest time, you guys were just, and then there were times where it sort of ebbed and flowed, where that shop that you're in, the main shop, was packed and maybe it was a little less so. But now you're renting space for storage and you've got 2 haulers, you were telling me. How did you kind of start to come out of that sort of stagnant area to kind of really build the momentum that you're starting to enjoy now?
Yeah, we kind of an insurgence of some younger drivers show interest in open wheel, and they decided they wanted to see some other tracks besides just Autobahn. So we started with a couple trips just up to Road America, let them get their feet wet and see what SCCA and the racing culture actually was about outside of club racing here at Autobahn. And they took a shine to it, and they said, hey, let's see where else we can go. And they ran the PFMs pretty much, all the main tracks around here. We did Blackhawk, we did Road America, some Mid-Ohio. And then we got introduced to the Ligier F3. Once we brought that car in, it was almost like a light switch flipped. The guys were more competitive in SCCA. We weren't just getting blown out in the PFMs. We could hold our own, and it started becoming fun again, not just paying all this money to go fight for 9th place.
Sure.
And then we decided to run FRP last year, and Formula Race Promotions, and wonderful program. We did the circuit with them, and one of my drivers, Brandon Schwartz, in his F3 was able to lock up the championship with 2 race weekends still on the calendar. So he kind of walked away with that one, and it was a great feeling in our debut season with them to kind of just make a real big name for ourselves by just walking in and taking that championship away. We were hoping to do it again this year, but with the new car, the new horsepower, we would have got nothing out of it. He would have just been out there by himself. So now we're going to run the Super Tour this year and compete with the 016s, and hopefully that new Ligier is a menace.
It sure looks fantastic. And just for seventh year overhead fans that aren't sure exactly what we mean when we're talking about PFM and those kinds of things, that's Pro Formula Mazda. The graphic that you see up on the screen now is a beautiful rendering of this new Ligier, basically the F3 car, as you see with the Halo system on there. Kind of, some people call it a flip-flop sandal kind of a deal. But before we get into the particulars of this new relationship that you've got with Ligier, Jean, talk about, we kind of talked a little bit offline before we started recording about how, back when we were running World Challenge and even earlier, I think a lot of it was Jody's influence, because he was a fendered guy, right? He was a showroom stock guy, and we ran the World Challenge program with the Cayman. So you were doing a little bit of everything, right? Taking care of your customers at the Autobahn there, which some of them had, street cars that they would just track. Some of them had track specifics, sedans. Some of them had open wheel cars. It seems like you guys are kind of, not that you're not doing any of that anymore, but it seems like you're kind of transitioning away from that and more dedicated and focused into the open wheel realm, I guess you could say, in all those various kind of support series categories. Talk about, was that a strategic move on your part? Did you guys, just like you and Marge and whoever, just say, hey, we need to go this route and kind of not as much of the other? What was the impetus behind kind of the move more focused on the open wheel cars?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the older stuff we did when we were, back in 2014, 2016, where we did a little bit of everything. A lot of that was Jody, because he had the knowledge. He had been running, basically anything with four wheels forever. But he had the knowledge for all the other components, all the other cars and stuff out there. And when he got sick, and then passed, we lost a lot of that knowledge. And the crew we had, we were familiar with open wheel. We knew the Pro Formula Mazdas. We were comfortable with those. And we kind of, me and Marge talked, and Jen, and, it was, what is going to make sense for us going forward? What is going to keep the doors open? And we decided that, homing in on just the open wheel market and what we do and what we know was our best bet.
Kind of play to your strengths, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And being here at Autobahn, it's been great. There are a couple other shops here who primarily focus on different stuff. There's a Miata shop, there's a GT shop, there's a Radical shop. So we got our own nice little niche here in the corner of the open wheel market, and we just kind of rolled with that and continued it on and pushing it hopefully into the Pro Series here in the next couple of years.
So you're kind of going, from my outside eye, obviously, because I'm not there at the Autobahn, but you're kind of going from strength to strength. You came out of the sort of the doldrums of the early 2020s. You're picking up some steam. You walk the championship, and I may have actually seen you guys. I think you ran as a support race for Trans Am up at Road America this last summer. But you clinched a championship handily early. Now you've got this great relationship with Ligier, this beautiful new F3 car. Talk about how that all came about.
Jeff Barrow from Ligier has been great. He contacted me because he saw how many of the Gen 1 cars we have in our shop. We got 5 of them currently in the shop, and he kind of contacted us and brought up the idea of being a dealer for him. And I was kind of hesitant because, a lot of those programs, you got to have a commitment of what you're going to sell every year. And I knew where we're at with Autobahn. It could be a limited market. We're not a big, FR America's team or anything like that yet. So I was hesitant, but he reassured me, we're going to make this work. It's going to be a good thing. And then he started showing me that new car and all the specs on it and what the plans are with that thing. And it was a no-brainer for us. It's the next step. It's the progression. It went from the Formula Mazdas to the Pro Formula Mazdas, and then to the F3s, and now we're starting to get into the Gen 2s. I think the Gen 1 F3 cars will be around for a while. It's such a great platform. But the Gen 2s they're going to be a menace on track.
Well, if, just from what you were telling me earlier, you're expecting, potentially to see 2-minute lap times at Road America with the new car. Is that right?
That's what they're hoping. So they're spec'd out for the FR series. It's a 303 horsepower. They're going to run a Volvo 2-liter with the turbo in the new Gen 2 cars. The Gen 1s ran the Honda. But they're going to have push to pass now in the new car. So it's going to be 350 horsepower with the push to pass.
That's
They're 100
insane.
pounds lighter. Yeah. So we were running 203s at Road America in the Gen 1 car. And they're talking with the extra horsepower, the upgraded aero, and the weight reduction. We're going to be looking around 2 minutes.
I could even see you getting sub 2 minutes at Road America with all that, because I didn't even know about the push to pass on that car. But yeah, an extra 100 pounds lighter, improved aero. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I can't. So what's the series look like for this year? I mean, with that new Gen 2 car, does it look like it's going to be like well subscribed? Like, is there going to be big car counts at these events from what you can see so far?
So the new Gen 2 car will not run in the FR America Series till 27. We are actually going to have the first Gen 2 car in North America. We should have delivery in the next month. So it kind of gives us a whole summer leg up of testing before the Pro Series will have them on track in 27. So that's our ultimate goal. Is we're going to use 26 as a test platform in the new car and race our Gen 1 cars, and hopefully we can have pretty good setup ideas and everything ready to go, and then make the push to join the FR America's Pro Series in 27.
Holy shit balls, man. You gotta keep me posted, and us as Seventh Gear Over fans posted when that car gets there, because I feel I want to come up just to watch you guys test and develop that car. I mean, aside from everything else that's going on, I just want to see that thing run in person. But talking about strength to strength, you got a great relationship, it sounds like, here now with Ligier. It's an advantageous position to be in, like you said, having all of 2026 to help develop and get that car ready to compete in 2027. But then also, just within the last couple of months, you signed a marketing deal with our good friend Ralph Howard Hansen and Pegasus Marketing Group. Where did that come from? Let alone the Ligier deal, but where did this come from?
It's funny. I never really used LinkedIn until maybe about 10 months, a year ago. And I got on there and I started seeing how much of the racing community is actually on there, and you can actually connect with them and talk to them. It's not like, a Facebook message. They're actually engaging. And I reached out to Ralph and, kind of explained what we're doing. Like, hey, I purchased an F3 car for the shop. We're going to run it as a rental. And, I'd love some help trying to either find a title sponsor or a funded driver to put into it. And he jumped right at the opportunity. If it's open wheel, he's ready to go. So we've been working with him since December and running down a bunch of different leads for title sponsors and talking to a handful of drivers. And we're hoping in the next month here we're going to find the right fit for us and be able to put a driver in that seat for the season and really show off someone's company.
Well, and you said it. Ralph is the man. When we had him on the show, I kind of coined the term and called him the godfather of modern motorsports marketing. I mean, that guy has been there, done it, seen it, and has given away more T-shirts than any of us probably have ever worn in our lives. But I want to get into a little bit more of that relationship with Ralph and kind of how kind of the strategy here in just a second. But before we do, Seventh Gear Overhead fans, if you like what you're hearing from this, all the previous 6 seasons and what we've got going on right now, by all means, make sure that you're hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us grow this channel. We're getting there, but we could use a little bit more help just kind of getting the word out and spreading the word as to what we do, because we have a great time here at the show and we've got great guests like John on. But yeah, like us, subscribe us, and at the same time, don't forget to support our show partners, right? KrausMeats.com, as we mentioned at the top of the show, they've got an expanded offering. They're actually going to expand their jerky line in particular. They've got a new chicken sausage out that's phenomenal, and they ship ship all over the continental United States, and it's just fantastic. And it's a 100-year family legacy. But also our great friends and partners over at Respect Your Package and Dick Carriers. We're actually going to have the CEO of Dick Carriers on our show here shortly. Makers of high-end, premium, breathable men's underwear with ball bustier technology. And you think that's a joke, but if you go to their website and you put in the discount code RESPECT7, you will get 20% off of your entire order. That's obviously not able to be combined with any of their sales or promos, but RESPECT7 will get you 20% off and get you all set up, and you can be respectfully scandalous in your own right, yet unapologetic. All right, back to our guest here, John Harkenrider, and a lot of really good things going, for the whole Havoc Motorsports family. When you got the deal with Ralph, and I was half joking with you, off air before we came on about you kind of making the show circuit, right? You're doing the interviews at different shows. Was that part of the strategy that Ralph said? It's like, hey, you got to get your name out there, or were those his suggestions? Did you guys have a brainstorming session as to what the strategy should be moving forward to help get you where you want to go?
Yeah, we met for lunch, and we kind of talked about what direction and what I can be doing to help the process. And I was supposed to be on with Will on the Pits Are Open at PRI, and our schedules just didn't meet up. So Will was great enough to get me on, and I was on the show last week. Great show, great guy, and that was a blast. And I've done another one about 2 weeks ago that should be out soon. I got another one coming up at the end of the month. So I'm trying to do everything on my end to help push what we're doing and grow our brand and get our name out there. As Ralph's working behind the scenes, trying to lock everything in for us.
Gotcha. So along this process of, establishing the relationship with Ligier and becoming a reseller there, kind of learning from a master like Ralph on the marketing side of things, have you had to kind of have that comfort or that come to Jesus moment where you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, doing things you're not used to doing and getting a little out of your comfort zone?
Oh, it's been horrible. I joke all the time with my wife. I'm like, I kind of miss the days where I could hide in the back corner and just turn wrenches. I was never, the people person. I was the mechanic, and I was kind of just thrown into it. And Marge laughs at me all the time because she's like, "You're great at talking to people." I'm like, I hate it. I'm so uncomfortable half the time. Unless we're talking racing, and then I'm good. But if people are just, they want to just talk about, the shop and the weather and all that stuff, forget it. No. I'll talk racing all day, but other than that, I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, small talk. I remember small talk was not your thing, but yeah, we could talk cars and racing all day long and then some. So looking at your shop, obviously you're starting to bust at the seams. We talked about having extra garage space for storage and that sort of thing. You were telling me a really interesting story before we came on that I don't remember really. This again was basically 10 years ago when we ran together in the World Challenge program, but you're talking about how you're using 3D printing for so much of what's going on right now. When did you integrate 3D printing into Havoc Motorsports' whole thing, and how did that affect maybe Schwartz's ability to win the championship this last year?
Yeah, so we started 3D printing probably a year and a half ago, 2 years at the shop. Just feeling it out and seeing what we could do first. Little tools, little things to make our life easier, shop-wise, mechanic-wise. And then Brandon Schwartz, our driver, he's big into 3D printing too. And between him and a couple of my guys' engineering background, we really started being able to make little things to test on the cars and just everything to make our job easier and help us gather data and see what we can do, from little arrow changes, little louvers, just to go on there during testing and not care if they fall off or they get destroyed after a couple sessions, because we only have a couple bucks in each one, as opposed to having to go out and order these things online and pay $30-$40 for something like that to do the same thing, fall apart and break. And we've been trying to move as much as we can production-wise in-house. Obviously, our motors have to go out. It's a sealed motor; those get shipped out. But everything else we try to do in house. I got a great team, and it's always a great feeling when you can pull your crew chief aside in the morning, go over the plan for the day, and I can go handle phone calls and emails and get to be on podcasts and not worry, is this getting done? Is it getting done right? I don't have to hover and micromanage. I got a great group of guys that know what has to be done, and they just do it.
And that's the place to be, right? Is when you got a good group of people, and it's kind of funny because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're flipping burgers or you're trying to build race cars. It always comes down to the people, and if you've got the right people, it makes your job as the leader a lot easier. So when you look now, and I don't know if you've even had time to look back because you're now on the fast track, right? You got to keep going. You got the snowball started and the momentum's building. What's your vision for Havoc here as we move, not just for 2026, but in the next couple 3-5 years? What do you see? Are you guys gonna get into a bigger building? What do you see happening? Indy Next Series, maybe something like that.
That'd be amazing. 27, we're hoping to get running the FR America's Pro Series with the F3 cars. I think if we could run that series for 2-3 years comfortably, I would really like to possibly purchase the lot next door here, a 10-year plan, and basically double the footprint of our building. That would be the ultimate goal here. We want to stay on property at Autobahn. Autobahn has so much to offer for us. It wouldn't make sense to go somewhere else or to put a warehouse or anything like that. So hopefully 10-year plan, we're running that Pro Series and knocking on the Indy NXT door, and we can double our footprint here and really, really just become that team that, we've always talked about. When you're hauling a 24-foot trailer with one car and you see all these big stackers pull in, you're like, one day, well, now we got the stackers. Now we just got to keep pushing.
Right. Well, you guys are poised for great things, and you've got a ton of momentum behind you. And I'm so excited to see how things play for you moving forward with all the new relationships and stuff you've got going. And thinking of Indy Next, I mean, you got a ready-made Autobahn member there that could maybe apply, give you some ideas there in the one and only Jordan Missig. So yeah, he's actually here in Indy today doing Indy Next content days for the series. But as we get rolling a little bit further ahead here, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed a little bit more about kind of how the Autobahn itself has evolved since you guys have been there. I mean, obviously when I was there back in 06 through 08, it was not certainly evolved to the point where it is now, but I know there's a lot of activity. That whole center point thing has really kind of surrounded the property, so you're in a good spot that way. But how is kind of bring everybody up to speed about what the Autobahn has become here over the last several years?
Oh, it's night and day. Autobahn, it's they just put their foot on the gas, and it's constant improvements. At the end of the season, they had a big kind of show. We're going to make some changes to North Track. They're going to add in a bunch of elevation and some high-speed S's, and they're going to keep the original layout, but they're just going to basically add another option to it. And then the 10-year plan, they're going to do some more to South Track to give us a bunch of different configurations. So basically we'll have, instead of 2 tracks, well, 3 if you count full, maybe 6, 7 different options when they change stuff up. The kart track's exploding here. They're hoping to make changes to the kart track. There was rumor of it expanding into 2 separate tracks with the ability to connect. That way they can run rentals and the members can run karts at the same time, just like we do with the main tracks. They got condos and garages going up everywhere. They're running out of lots is what it is. It's become so popular. So for what you get for, Autobahn, you pay your entry fee to become a member, and you have yearly dues. When you look at it compared to a lot of the other ones in the country, if you focus on what we all want to focus on, and that's the driving and having cars on track, you can't beat it. There's no other country club, private club out there that offers the amount of track time and amenities that Autobahn does for the price. Not even close.
Right, and
so
and
we're
like you said,
truly,
we're 6 days a week.
lucky.
You got a ready-made test track.
Yeah, 6 days a week, 5 sessions a day for my open wheel guys. So, I mean, that's 30 extra sessions on track per week that these guys can test if they wanted to.
Holy cow! That's one of the things that I truly appreciated about the Autobahn during my time there. Before I forget to mention this, and I forgot to ask this question when we were talking earlier about the 3D printing stuff that you do on the Formula cars. What's probably the biggest item that you use the 3D printer for? I know you talked a lot about louvers and things like that, but what's the capacity of that? Like, how big of a piece could you make with the 3D printer if you needed to?
So our printers that we have in-house here, we can go basically almost a foot by a foot. So we can, and then if we needed to, we could piece it out and then combine it together. So if we had to, we could print a full wing. We could print, anything like that. If, different adjustments to the wing, different main planes, stuff like that. We could piece it all together and go run an entirely different front wing setup, rear wing setup, and see what it does.
I think Roger Penske used to call, or maybe it was Mark Donohue, used to call that the unfair advantage. And I think you guys are working on some unfair advantages there, which I love. I love that. All right. So, John, as we kind of get close to throwing the checkered flag on this week's episode, if you had your ultimate wish list for Havoc Motorsports, like maybe your top 3 things for the 2026 and 2027 seasons, what would they be?
Title sponsor. I'm looking to get a couple more F3 cars in here and some more drivers.
Drivers pay the bills, boys, but drivers pay those bills. All right. So, John, if there's any of our 7th Gear Overrev fans out there that are looking to do some Formula car racing and they're anywhere near the Metro Chicago area, Joliet in specific, how do they get a hold of the infamous John Harkenrider at Havoc Motorsports?
Yeah, you can always email me. It's just john@havocmotorsport.com. You can call the shop. It's 815-476-4180. During the race season, we're here 6 days a week. Right now, we're here 4 days a week, working 10-hour days. So we don't stop. Year-round, we're here. And if you want to come out and rent an F3 for the day, rent a PFM for the day, we can make that happen.
What is a day rental of a PFM typically run these days?
The PFM for the day is $3,800, and that's wet. That's fuels included, trackside service, data, good set of used tires. Obviously, you want slicks, you have to pay a little more for those. The F3 is about $5,000 for the same setup.
So, speaking of that kind of thing, going down that road, when you're talking an F3 season in, whatever series it's going to run, what does that look like these days? Just a season-long budget for an F3 car?
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. Like right now, I mean, talking to a couple of the other pro teams and stuff like that, some of the teams, you're looking at $700,000 for the FR series. Our goal is to come in well below that. We're going to be the small team. We're going to be the new team on the block. But our whole thing here is getting younger drivers to climb that ladder. If I could have a driver here for 1, maybe 2 seasons, and then they make the jump and now they're looking at NXT, that's my goal, because that's just going to get our name out there more. So for like the SECA season, run the Super Tour, $350,000 all in. And that's all entry fees, all your transport, your hospitality, coach, fitted seat, 2 new sets of tires every event, fuel, basically everything. It's arrive and drive.
Yeah. Arrive and drive, ready to rock and roll. Nice. Good deal. So I know we've covered a lot of ground here, John, but I'm sure there's probably things that I've missed that you wanted to talk about. So what have we not talked about that we need to? that Seventh Gear Over Rev fans need to
One
know?
thing when we were bringing up with Ralph, one thing we did join too is we're partners now with the Wings and Wheels Foundation.
Yes, I did see that. Talk about that a little bit, please.
We met with them through Ralph, and we were able to combine our efforts because they have the same goals as us. Help those young drivers start climbing that ladder. A lot of them that might not have come from wealthy families or have direct lines to sponsors every year. So they have a great program where they're helping young drivers. They have driver ambassadors that they have at every level, and anyone looking to sponsor a driver or work with Havoc, you can make a donation through Wings and Wheels Foundation that would come back to us, and it's tax deductible for you. So that's a big selling point. It's a great cause, and hopefully we can work with them to promote our drivers, help them get some funding, and just keep climbing that ladder.
So and I may be a little off on this, but wasn't Alan Sir Jr. Or is he involved with that Wings and Wheels, or his wife Norma? I thought there was some involvement there with Unser in the Wings.
I believe they were. Might have been when they were Future Star Racing, and now they're the Wings and Wheels Foundation. So, I believe they were back when it first started. I don't know if they still are. I know Mark is running it now. I think Mark has been on since the beginning.
Gotcha.
But great group of people, great cause. Just let's get those younger drivers in cars and develop and up the ladder.
Agreed. And take advantage of those family businesses that can fund, whether it's 700,000 or 1.2 if you're looking at Indy Next or something like that. All right, my friend, it has been awesome getting a chance to catch up with you here after all this time. Thank you. And I know we had some scheduling issues last week, but thanks for being flexible with that. I know you got your team there, but I couldn't have asked for a better show today than to have you back and be able to reconnect with you. And I hope nothing but the best for you guys. Please give my best to everybody there, Marge, Jen, Ryan, all the guys at there. And by the way, I do expect you to keep me updated on when that new F3 car comes so I can come check it out.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will. And thanks again for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, anytime, dude. And we would love to have you back if you've got time here as we get into the season. Maybe we can do some remote stuff. If I can make it up to the Autobahn, maybe we'll do some stuff there at the track. But we'd love to have you back when the schedule allows. I know you're getting ready to be busy, and all the best of success to you guys for the remainder of this year and moving forward. So thanks for coming on today, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Seventh Gear Over Rev fans, there you have it. The man, the GM of Havoc Motorsports, John Harkenrider. I always call him Hark. He's always going to be Hark to me. But again, folks, if you like what you've been hearing on the Seventh Gear Over Rev show, be sure that you hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel to help us keep growing this thing. And we've got so much coming up here. We just cut an episode yesterday, a fantastic interview with an author of an IndyCar book. Obviously, we just talked with John today. We've got our CEO of our main sponsor, Dick Carriers and Respect Your Package coming up. We're going to summarize the content days from Indianapolis here last week as we get into the preseason test at Phoenix and the season opener at the beginning of March. We've got Andreas Laberly, former IndyCar team owner. We've got a bunch coming up here in the weeks and months ahead. So I encourage you all to stay tuned for the latest in the greatest spectacle in podcasting, the Seventh Gear Over Rev show. We'll see you next time.